Hello, everyone, and welcome back. All right. Graham, if you would mind, take us away.
Absolutely. Chapter one, chapter two, and chapter three is very much a pacing mechanism more than anything else. You don't have to play sequentially by any means. In between each chapter, when all three things are true, you check in with everybody. Real time. Like, does anybody have to leave? Does this feel like we've answered these broader, like less defined questions? And also tonally, where are we looking for? You can keep going. One is this like more lighthearted thing. Two is when you start to zoom into kind of the more personal. And of course, three is when the terror is going to have the most power. The top of each is defined by who the chapter is named after. So let's start off with chapter one. Let's start off with the Arcadians chapter. We have two Arcadians here, so kind of however you want. And of course, you can negotiate like in front of the screen. So oh man, I don't think I've ever seen this many laugh out louds in a single chat before. It's they're so engaged and very horny. Um,
Cicada Daddy.
Cicada
whoa,
Daddy.
whoa. Um, what we need from you Arcadians is description of a piece of music that we are going to take in ourselves.
Okay.
And then one or both of you, at kind of any way that you want, we have then an opening narration, which is going to establish where we are physically and what's going on. What's the general thrust of what's happening? You feel free to paint wildly with an emotional brunch, a poem with your words. This is very much, we're getting this picture. This is for both of you to kind of negotiate together. The last thing that you do is you ask this question. The question is what's going to drive what all of us as players are attempting to answer. In our capacities as travelers, Arcadians, and terrors, we're all looking to answer whatever this question might be. So it's up to the two of you to decide, like, do you want it? Do you want it? No, after you. No, after you, kind of thing. And then once that is, then we jump into it. Everyone operates under the principle of narrative truth. The travelers saying what they see and what they do. The Arcadians filling in. And then us terrors being just a little twist of the knife as we go. All of that makes sense. And if that's the case, Arcadians, the floor is yours to decide how you want to do this.
Cool.
So interesting. Okay. So the first, just so I understand instructions, first thing we're jumping out is with a song.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Carl, you okay if I jump out on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
And as a point of clarification, Graham, does he also get his song, or am I taking song?
It's a single song that we are all imagining in our heads. This is a replacement of picking a song and us listening to it, because at the table the idea is that it plays, and then whoever's responsible jumps in and narrates at a moment of their choosing. I think I've written it as something like when the moment feels right. Again, it's this moment where we're all like, and this is it. Because I feel like that's a really important moment, this thing where you're feeling this music and then all of a sudden this shift occurs. So that's for you to feel out. You have full agency to do that, right?
Okay, so then I'm going to re-ask that question again now that I understand that we're not both teeing up songs. Carl, are you okay if I take song?
Go for it.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to play with, and I did some rapid fire research when this was teed up in the pregame. The song that hangs on the air, and I think that's going to be an articulate description of what this piece of music, if you would call it that, sounds like. It's something that permeates through the air. It almost feels tangible. It's that type of music that settles onto your skin like fresh snow. The problem is, if you're a fan of snow, this could be something beautifully comfortable or comforting. If you're not a fan of snow, this is something that can chill you all the way through every layer of you, whether that's your physical being or whether that's your emotional being or your psychological being. And the song that you all hear doesn't have a name, but you know the style of music. It is a Gregorian chant. So, and this is the added research that I threw on here because that's what I had in my head, but I was waiting for something to help kind of inspire and pull this out of me. We're looking at a Western plain chant, a form of monophonic chanting by an all-male chorus. There's no music, there's no tapping, there's no instrumentation. It's just this haunting chant. And per my previous description of how you feel about snow when this chant is hanging on the air, Gregorian chants are known to reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, and even help speech fluency in stroke vision or in stroke victims. There's something about the sound of this particular chanting that changes the way your nervous system connects with the world around you. It changes the way you think. If that type of chanting is something that you connect with. I don't know who you are. I don't know your connection with the world around you, but if you aren't Catholic, if Catholicism is even a thing in this world, I don't know. I don't care. You might find comfort in this chant. You might be completely repulsed. And if you are repulsed, your nervous system goes through the exact opposite feeling. This is inescapable. This cuts through every layer of you, emotionally, physically, psychologically. But it's really up to you. You're here in our house. And this is what's on the radio.
All right. Can I piggyback off of that to set the scene?
That's the job.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm just just getting consent. All right. So as these strains of chanting kind of fade away into the distance, you both find yourselves looking at each other across a small babbling brook of like beautiful crystal clear water in a clearing in the middle of the woods. And you have this, the set, whatever you were getting from the song is either overwritten or supplemented by this feeling of that moment at the end of summer where it's almost perfect, just before everything starts to rapidly decelerate and rapidly fall apart into the fall and the winter. But you have this interesting moment of taking a deep breath, almost as if you're about to dive into a pool of something that you don't know about. The other thing that you'll notice is that your clothes are from vastly different time periods.
Oh, I
don't know
this.
which direction you want to go with that, but there you go.
Oh, I like this. Okay. And then Graham clarifying, we're coming up with a question that needs to be answered in all of this.
Correct. That is the driving force of this chapter. You ask a question at the end of the opening narration, and that's the thing that will kind of establish a end point for the narration.
Do you have a good one, Carl? Or are you leaning a certain direction? I kind of know the lyrics to the song, being this in a language they don't speak. I feel like we could interfere with them. Yeah. You want to go that way?
Yeah, let's go that way.
The question is, what is the translation to the lyrics of this song that you don't actually know that's being chanted in a language that possibly doesn't exist? What are the lyrics?
Right.
Oh, I love the babbling brook with the clear water. That is just so crystal clear in my mind right now. Does that wrap up Arcadians?
Yup.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look across the creek and kind of squint for a second and look down at my hiking boots, which, they have metal facets. It's that like nylon-y braided shoelace. The yarn bag I have is unicorns. Like the needles that I'm using are magic loop metal needles. Like it's very, even if I am not a spick and span shiny person, like there are parts of me that have that very new metally just shine and whatever, like the zippers, and I look over at you and I don't see a lot of that. Kid?
Fancy lady.
First time I've been called that before. Are you okay? You shouldn't be out here. I shouldn't be out here.
What do you mean I'm out here all the time? This is fine. What are you doing out? You look different than anyone I've ever seen.
Look at the leaves, kid. They're not right. Not for my forest, at least.
I look at the leaves on my side. Everything looks fine. Normal. That's what I've been walking through. I look on the leaves on the other side of this babbling brook. Oh, you're right. What's going on over there? Are you from one of the neighboring farms? I don't recognize you.
I'm not from a farm. I'm from the city. I just drove out to clear my head in the forest like I usually do.
Oh, the city. I've dreamed of the city. What's it like?
Dirty
Oh,
and loud.
oh.
There's good things. There's ice cream.
Ice cream. Just cold cream? We have cold cream as well. It's great. Yes, indeed.
Oh, fuck.
What was that?
Nothing.
You speak strange for a fancy lady such as yourself, but I sort of like it. I have a question for you. I hope I'm not too forward. Have you seen my cock? I'm looking for it.
Kid, you'd better mean some kind of farm animal or we're gonna have a whole nother conversation. And I'm gonna grip my knitting needle.
Well, yeah, my rooster, of course. What do you think?
What's your name, kid?
Milo. I'm sorry, I should have introduced myself. What's yours?
Cass.
Cass? Where's the rest of it? It's just Cass? There's no more?
There was at one point.
Mm.
Kid,
It'd be like calling me. No one calls me. It's Milo. Cass. Maybe we'll find the second part of it later.
you're a sweetheart, kid, but I have a feeling you need to turn around and walk away. Something's wrong, and I can't seem to put my foot in the creek. And you can see that I've been trying to move my foot. I have waterproof hiking boots. I can cross this creek. It's a brook. It's barely anything. I can't move towards you.
What are you talking about? Don't be crazy. And I'll step towards the brook
Don't.
and then won't be able to.
You hear a crunch, and as you move your foot, you see you've stepped on a single fish skeleton just smacking itself against a rock on your shore.
What? I'm going to try again. And I try again, and I'm pushed back. Cass lady, you're right. What is... Do you know magic?
No, but I think the leaves are changing on your side too.
It's cold, too. You got a chill all of us. I've got a crazy chill over here. Out of nowhere. I was feeling great with the chant and the music of the forest, and it was almost like warm around like a blanket, but now I'm cold.
Shit, you heard that too. I mean, fuck.
Beautiful.
I mean, sorry.
Fancy lady, I love your language. I'm going to learn all these words.
You know, if we get out of here, I'll teach you whatever kind of words you want to know. Okay, I can't move towards you. You can't move towards me. And the woods are weird, and we're hearing the same song. But there's
Don't
no
forget
music
Mr.
player.
Cox. I got to find Mr. Cox before my dad finds out. And this shit brook won't let me step into it.
Oh, the brook takes offense to that. You don't come into our house and use that type of aggression towards us.
Fancy lady, I shouldn't speak like you, I've decided.
The water of the brook increases maybe by an inch. It's not subtle. It's very reactive.
I think you made the water angry. Maybe you shouldn't speak like me. Maybe I shouldn't
You
speak like me.
you both and can I add to like the environment narration here, Graham?
Absolutely.
Okay. You both, in realizing that the brook has reacted to you, have an intuitive sense that if you both apologize to the brook and drink a little bit of it, then you will be able to cross the brook. Like you just somehow know this.
I'm gonna pull something out of my knit bag. It's a little stitch marker, just a little metal hoop with a little tiny purple gem on it. And I'm gonna kneel down, um, and go, sorry, you're a lovely brook. I do need to watch my language, and place it at the edge of the water, and then cut my hand.
As you kneel next to the water, you realize you're not casting a shadow. You don't see your shadow as you kneel. You don't see it reflecting into the water. It's like it left you when you came here.
The water that you drank is so cold and so pure that it gives you goosebumps. But now that you've done that, you can see that you can pass your hand or your legs freely through the water.
You intuitively know your apology was accepted. And somehow you also intuitively know that your shadow was the cost of entrance for coming into our house uninvited.
Hey, kid.
Cast lady.
Do you have a shadow over there?
You ask the strangest questions. Of course I...
It's as if it was never there.
What is going on? What is going on?
I think you need to apologize to the water.
Did that work when you did it?
Yes. I think I can come to you if you're okay with that.
It's free wood. You can do what you wish. Oh, I'm gonna kneel down. I'll grab that fish skeleton. Back to you whence you came, and I'll throw it in the brook. I apologize for my coarse tongue and for my lack of manners. And then I'll make the sign of my religion, you know. And I'll see if there's any change.
Carl, did
Oh,
we
do I have
accept
to
that
drink it?
apology? Oh, sorry.
Do I have to
Yo,
drink
yeah.
it, lady? I'm sorry. I saw you drink it. All right.
Same deal. Very cold, very clear. You get goosebumps, but then you get the same feeling as if it accepted your apology. And now you can move through it. And you can also hear faintly, you both realize that you've not heard the music actually fully fade out. It's still playing at the back of your mind. One of those words has gone from the original language to river.
Ooh.
There you go. Much better.
Cass, did you hear that?
Kid, if you're the praying kind, I think we might need some right now. And I walk over to his side.
Long enough.
As you step into the water, you realize you see something swimming through the water. It looks like your shadow moving independently on its own, swimming downstream.
And the shadow tightens, and you can see that it's not your full shape, but it's only your skeleton. It waves to you.
What's that you see? I see the shadow. Is it a fish?
I think it's my shadow.
You are certainly very rude.
I'm standing in the middle of the river and I'm going to do a curtsy and I do apologies. I didn't exactly mean to be here. Maybe you shouldn't trap people unknowingly and just let me be. I just wanted to see some trees.
Yeah,
But it
city
is a
lady,
nice
give it-
curtsy.
The
Give it
water
the 1,
begins to
2.
rise.
Uh-oh.
This one is very
Hurry,
rude.
city lady. Hurry, city lady.
And I make it to the other side.
I've never heard it speak. I don't know if I've ever seen it,
Good
cast
line.
lady, but I've never heard it. I've never heard a. It sounds like words. I swear it's words, but
I hear things sometimes, but no one ever seems to believe me. You're the first one that's heard them too.
The chanting fades around you. You can feel it rattling, vibrating in your skull. And you realize that it's not in a strange language. It just sounds like the words are underwater.
Oh.
And there's a moment right in the middle where the sound breaks and it lifts, and you can hear that distortion leave as the voice whispers in a sound that reaches one ear and extends out the other. River. River rises.
River rises. River rises.
And as
Oh.
the river rises, you realize, looking at it, the river itself has a shadow. But the shadow appears to move and flicker shapes, skeletal shapes, fish, people writhing out of it, as if the shadow of the river is made up of all those it has taken.
I've forgotten to tell everybody how much change you get. Point of order, everyone.
Oh, I
Hello.
totally forgot about that too.
Graham Gentz here with that bum lovely moment from Rina. This is the Arcadians chapter, which means travelers, I'd like to give you to give yourself 3 change each. Arcadians, you have 2 change each. And the terrors, we only have 1 each. Oh well. But not to worry. That will change. So when you want to contradict an image, again, you're all building. And again, this relationship, the traveler can contradict something established by the Arcadian. The Arcadians can contradict something established by the terrors. And the terrors can contradict something established by the travelers. And when you do, pick up your change, pass it through our digital space, and it's going to enter into your pool. And for the sake of simplicity, you with your role, you kind of share a pool. So we have about 2, right? So 1 each. Rina and I share a pool of 2. It's just to simplify the idea of when you pass it to a role, like who gets it, like that's less important. You kind of just have it there. You also don't need to ask permission. Your other role, you're like, I'm just going to no but you, and I'm going to contradict. So you don't have to check with anybody, anything like that. You are empowered as your role to do what you will. It's just a shared resource with the 2 of you. So 3 each for your travelers, 2 each for your Arcadians, 1 each for the travelers. Because it is the Arcadians chapter, it changes based on what chapter you are, is how much you will get. Got it. That shifts over time.
Okay.
By eventually the terrorist chapter, you have a whole lot of change, and the traveler will only have very little. So again, that's kind of down the road. So you have your tokens, you have your change. There's some crazy shit with the river, with the babbling brook.
Yeah.
So the terror just introduced this, what, these skeletons and the spirits and the shadows within the river. Was that?
Yes.
Yes.
We can't know but that.
Yep. You can only contradict things that created by the Arcadian to be like, no, that's not right. Actually, it's like this. And basically, it's the idea that like. Again, I'm playing with kind of these philosophical ideas. This moment of truth, you get to erase this moment of truth and replace it with your own. And so you're kind of in these weird liminal spaces about what is true. I mean, that's
Mhm.
going behind the veil a little bit, but not necessary. It's really up to you to decide what that is. So yes, that was the terror, just created
Yep.
those details. Absolutely.
And that's where the triangle comes through.
Yep.
And so as a traveler, I can yes and the terror.
Kind of
I can
everything,
no,
and you can
but
only interact with that directly, and you can no but. You can contradict
the
things
academic.
established by the Arcadian.
By the Arcadians.
So if I use one of these change tokens that I have, it's a limited resource. And
Yep.
yes, and those spirits only want to help us get past this
that just
brook.
happens. You can yes and without.
Yeah.
Contradictions happen with change. So you can be like, so we've
So
established
you
that there's things,
only have
and you
to
can
use
say,
that.
and now I see. Yes,
Okay.
you're
So
freely
you
able to
only
yes
need
and.
to do this if I'm going to contradict the
Correct.
Arcadian.
Absolutely.
Got it. All right. This is really cool. That's really cool. All right.
Milo, how long have you heard the song?
An hour, maybe. I've lived in these woods my whole life. I've never heard that. It's saying river, right? I can hear it say
Rises.
river. River rises.
You've heard it your entire life.
Here we go.
I've heard it my entire life. I've never known where it comes from. I've lived in this forest my entire life, and it's just always this song, this noise whenever I'm here. But the source of it, the source is just this. Well, maybe I shouldn't say just, Cass. Maybe it's not just a river. Does it sound watery? It sounds like
It's drowning.
It sounds like it's under the water. Well, I'm an excellent swimmer. With
Don't
the
go in the
muscles that I
water.
have. What if you hold my legs and I just put my head in? Because I want to hear what... I feel like maybe we can hear what it says underneath. If it's so cold, though. Oh, but maybe hold my legs tight to keep me safe, and then I'll put my head in the water, and then...
What
What do
if
you
the
think?
shadows get you?
Yeah, but I think they want us to leave. So I'm hoping they would help us leave.
Okay.
My mom says always look on the bright side and take the optimist view. So maybe this is what she was teaching me.
Who am I to naysay a plan? Do not go deep. I am not very strong.
I'm strong enough for the both of us.
Doesn't help me if you get drowned, Milo.
Two just stick-like arms in front of you. All right. Kneel down and get to the... And the water's been rising this whole time, so I get down to where I can, and I take a couple breaths because I remember it's so cold. It's so cold. And then plunge my head underneath the water and listen.
As you plunge your head under the water, you feel the shadows start to swim through you. And they chill you with an unnatural chill even beyond that of the water, and you can feel it rattling your bones as if other tiny little bones were click-clack, click-clack, click-clacking through your body.
But as they do, you realize the words are becoming more and more clear. And the sense of where you need to go next is sort of crystallizing.
Cass, you watch as his legs disappear beneath the surface of the water.
I go in after him. And try and dig my boot around a rock on the edge.
Try.
I go in after him. I have my ankle hooked around a rock. I grab his leg and I yank backwards as
There you
hard
go.
as I have ever tried anything in my life.
There you go.
That one is rude. I don't like that one. The rock that you have your boot fastened, the earth around it softens and it gives way, releasing your hold from it.
No, but
Hey!
him back to the shore. And the river realizes that we're not the ones causing this. It's the shadows that shouldn't be there. I
And
pull
I'm
him out.
shaking and I'm shivering and I'm crying, but you can't tell because I'm soaking wet. So luckily, 16-year-old boy crying in front of a fancy lady. Oh, and I almost throw up from the cold, and then I'm able to. Yes, so and I reach over to hug the stranger,
I hug you back.
and I shake. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong.
It's okay. You're out. We got you out. It's okay.
As you hug him, you realize he's not completely there, as if he himself is shadow. Almost, not quite. You could still feel bone and muscle, but some essence of him has slipped away, perhaps taken by the river.
It's going to be okay, Milo.
Yes, I don't know why I did that. Why did I think it would work out well? No one's ever taught me to be optimistic.
You said your mother did.
We just met. We just met. I've never met my mother. How would you know? How would you know? Why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Because I'm strong, says the river in Milo's voice, drifting up between it, and you can see a shape, but it looks like a skeleton about the same height and width as this 16-year-old boy. I can do anything.
Give him back.
You give him back.
He's a child. You have no right to him.
The shadowy skeleton puts its hands on its shadowy skeletal hips.
I start singing the song back to the skeleton.
We like that. We like that a lot.
Should we return that which has been taken from the boy to him?
That one may be right. The shadows in our waters may be uninvited.
It's been so long since the shadows came. Do we remember a time before?
I remember something.
Hmm.
Let's see if she can figure out the lyrics. She may be able to save the boy yet. Another word populates, and it's suffer.
I was under the water. Did I hear any more?
Oh,
You tell us. You tell us.
Oh.
As I sing, like it's not a gorgeous song, right? Like I'm not a strong singer. I sing in my car. But as I sing, more and more of the lyrics come to me. More of the words start clearing up as I go, and my voice gets stronger. And it's almost echoes. Like it's more than just me singing.
Because I join in.
And our words overlap. I heard different things than he did, so we fill in more and more and more of the lyrics as we sing. And as I sing, I'm taking my coat off. It is wet, but it's heavier than what he's wearing, and I wrap him up in it, rubbing his arms as we sing and just encouraging him to keep singing and keep singing and keep singing.
No, but.
Oh! So at what point? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of think about it like a single sentence. You're erasing the last moment and replacing with something you want. So
as you go to put your coat around him to wrap him up, you realize he's becoming more and more insubstantial, as if he himself is turning into the shadow. And you can't quite put anything on him. You can't touch him. And you hear his singing becoming an echo of itself.
Oh,
Milo, sing.
Fancy lady, it's so cold. It's so cold.
You can do it. You can do it. You're strong. You're so strong. You came into the woods.
I'm the strongest, says the voice from the river.
I wasn't talking to you.
I'm not strong anymore.
Milo.
It stole it. It stole it.
It can't steal anything you won't let go. Sing.
I sing. And it's like wind through the leaves, which on this side of the forest are so much different than the other side.
And we sing, and we sing.
And we sing.
I like
And
this
as we
song, brother.
rise,
I do as well. And as you sing, it's almost like you both realize as you both start to sing in unison, it's almost like a shanty. It's an additive and creative form of song rather than just a repetition. And you can start adding in your own verses to it. And you start pulling in, you realize that as you start singing and start improvising, you start pulling wisps of the shadow skeleton back to yourself. And you start to feel a little bit braver.
As every piece of the shadow returns to your body, it does not bring you warmth, but more and more cold.
No.
As you become more yourself. Oh!
No.
Give me that shit.
It's yours. Take it through the digital space. No, my brother and I, we like this song. You control the shadows. These are our waters. Let them sing.
And I sing, and ancient Welking songs, the songs that were sung as you treated like yarn and wool and created these clothings and stuff, is something that I listen to, and they start coming through. And those songs were made for community. It was made to tie people together, even as the wool felts itself together during their work. And I sing to keep this boy together. I sing to keep this boy together even as I start getting colder.
And hearing these songs, which are very familiar to me, they're new songs that we've just started singing at the sewing bees within the village circle. And the city lady knows our songs, and it gives me energy and it fills me with joy. And so my voice is getting louder and stronger, more familiar as you're starting to sing songs, which are, I know these. Even if I don't know the words, I know those lyrical pieces, those rhythms. This is, and getting stronger and shaking and shivering still, but it's not so debilitating.
And as the river is pleased, the water pulls from you and pulls from your clothing to dry you. So you're so cold, you can't make up that warmth that was taken, but it's not being sapped from your strength anymore.
Yes, lady, I think you saved my life.
I think we saved each other.
Fade to black?
Hell yeah,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Is that a good fade?
Yeah.
Because I think we
yeah,
saved each
yeah.
other. Bam!
Anybody can do it. And we've done
Fade to black.
it. We've faded out the change, and then you call for it. So boom, that's chapter 1.
Wow!
Wow, that's fun.
That was
Wow!
good.
Table, take a goddamn bow. Wow! Woo!
That was good.
No,
That
here's
was
the
good
exciting
stuff.
part. Rules is written. There's a check-in. There's a check-in between every chapter. How you feeling? How you doing? And the mechanical part, what chapter comes next?
Ooh.
And so your sort of classical thing is your 1, 2, 3. Okay, chapter 2 is the traveler's chapter. So you're going to be responsible for the opening narration. Has to be in first person from your character's perspective, but you also get to establish where we are, what's going, and ask the question. However, change shifts a little bit. You have a little less. We have a little
bit more.
because we're growing. The final chapter is the terrorist chapter. Final only in it's non-linear. We can jump straight to it. We can do another Arcadian chapter if you want. In the back of the book, it has a series of suggested structures because it's the table. What are you feeling? Again, it's this gut feeling about what feels true to this moment, right? So, how's everybody doing? We have some healthy amount of time, so I feel like we could absolutely jump into another chapter before our debrief. So, are people feeling a chapter 1, chapter 2, or chapter 3, an Arcadians chapter, a Travelers chapter, or do we jump right into the Terrors chapter?
I think y'all are doing enough. As the terror, I vote a traveler chapter.
Terror is not fucking around right now, honey. Terror is out close up. I'm good with a traveler chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me because that was so personal. That was such a lovely moment of this darkness, and then you, within a game in which everybody has free power to have the equal amount of narrative ability, it ended with this. I think we saved each other. Fade out. To me, that sounds like it's begging for a traveler's chapter.
Mwah.
That sounds that sounds great.
Mhm.
So change. You travelers in a traveler chapter, you start with 2 change each.
Okay.
The Arcadians start with 2 as well. You kind of always start with 2. However, us terrors, we now have 2 each.
Ooh, y'all teed up for the worst.
So, you travelers are responsible for picking the music. So in this case, describing something. And then, again, this like moment in which you decide to jump in, creating the opening narration. The opening narration has to establish where we are and what's happening. In terms of connective tissue to the first chapter.
Oh no. Is that me? Oh no. Oh no, don't be a thing, Symphony. Come on.
Can be a little more vague. Really, all is good, right?
Sorry, Graham, you cut out for a second.
Graham, you froze for a solid 8 seconds and we were all scared.
Yeah.
Daddy,
No.
Don't worry. Don't worry, Cicadas. I'm back.
Daddy.
As the travelers, the opening narration is going to be in first person as your character. So you'll be narrating as Cass, or you'll be narrating as Milo. Which one?
I think I called you Milo. I'm sorry.
Milo?
It was Milo, but now it's Milo. Because this is a game of change.
It changed.
It was
This is a
Milo.
game of
Now it's
change.
Uslo.
Mhm.
So you'll be narrating as Milo. So the ideas of where are we physically and what's happening is from you. It's sort of, again, like a narrative check-in. How are you feeling? It can be, again, like inner thoughts or journaling. It's really up to you to decide as. It just has to be in first person, unlike this more broad narration that the Arcadians chapter comes from. Us terrors, similarly, if we get there, will also be in first person.
Ooh.
So establish the music, and then the narration is where are we physically and what's going on, and then you end by asking the question. And the question is what allows us to say, okay, we've concluded this chapter. Cool?
Nate, can I do music and you do narration?
That works for me.
So the music that we're hearing is what seems at first like a playful fiddle of like a country folk song. And then, a cello comes in and then the rest of an orchestra comes in and music swells and, it's very dramatic and it's beautiful and everything. And it's the music that Cass hears in her head every day. It's the reason her coworkers think her head is in the clouds is because she's constantly hearing songs in the back of her head that tell her something or don't tell her something, and trying to focus through that can be difficult. It's the music that leads her to create the knitting designs and the projects and everything that she does. The lyrics weave in and out of the music just as like the lace patterning of the sweaters or the color work weave in and out of each other. But this is hopeful with the discordant low deep bass at the bottom of those skeletons and those bones in the river or the air, and that clashes, but the hope is there even with that darkness at the bottom of the music.
That's nice. And then Graham, I am narrating our current, where we are,
where you are
where we're
physically,
going.
and what's happening in first person as Milo. And then you end your narration by asking the question.
Amy, do you want me to do the question as well, or do we want to come up with that together at the end?
Do you want to do the narration and then we can kind of come together at the
Let's
end?
do that. We left the babbling brook. Politely, we waved it goodbye, curtsied, etc. We've learned our lesson with that. And we headed back into this forest. This forest, it's so familiar and normal and obvious to me. And I'm watching as Cass, this strange city lady, she's so modern. She speaks so differently, but she seems so wise. She's looking around at common things as if they're new and unique, different. I mean, our leaves have already changed to the normal purples and golds, but it seems to be an image that Cass is taken with over and over. We both heard where we needed to go next. That was part of that song, and it was part of the message. Now, when I was able to recover and regain some part of me, I had shared that with Cass, and I was happy that this strange modern city lady had also agreed. So off we were. In my heart, I harbored sort of a hope. Mr. Cox would be there. I'd find this rooster. I'd go home. Everything would be normal. Just be the normal. I'd introduce this new city lady to my family, and she would be on her way and go back to wherever she's from. I just wanted everything to go back to the same. But there was a part of me, maybe it was the part that was getting a rapid maturation this day in the forest, that knew that nothing could ever go back to how it was, that whatever had happened so far was just the beginning, and we were not going to leave unchanged. And so I led my way through a trail that was somewhat familiar to me to the bone pit, which is where we had known and seen and heard that we needed to go next, and to that central large tree that towers above and we can see in the distance whenever we're looking out on our forest. That tree that I was warned by my mother and my father, optimistically and pessimistically, to never approach. We made our way straight towards it, as we had been told.
Oh, I have a question. Who or what was sacrificed here that defiled the river?
Shit, the river just became a quest giver. I love it. Hey, since you're here.
A little exclamation point above the river.
Oh, no, I love it. It's like, oh, since you're here and you understand your manners, go help us out with something and maybe we'll give your shadows back.
Yeah. Don't argue with people who bring me coffee and babbling brooks.
Oh, we like a coffee?
Nate, do you want to start us off? Because I kind of started.
Well, we have our question. Who or what was sacrificed here that defiled the river?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we are. So we round a bend, and we are a little bit lower than where we need to go, which is strange. It's a bone pit, but we have to climb first. We have to reach greater heights before we are allowed. And so we start that climb. There's stairs that are carved into the side of the hill, and we start climbing. And so, Cass, you've never been to the bone pit, and this forest. You've never been to this side before.
Just making casual conversation, walking to the bone pit. Oh, first time in the bone pit. Oh, my
Milo,
God.
these trees are young, very young, and purple
Mhm.
and gold, and it's gorgeous. But
Of course, yes.
when I walk these woods, these trees are so wide around, I cannot reach my arms and touch my hands at the other side. And their leaves
Really?
are red and gold and orange. I've never seen this purple, and this gold is deeper and truer than any color I've seen on my walks. And I have not been to a bone pit in the woods before. Is this like a normal thing in your time?
In my time, what do you mean? It's a normal thing. Yeah, of course. Of course. You don't have where do you put your bones then if you do not have a pit?
I pay other people money to take them away.
You let them take the bones? They must pay you well.
No, I have to pay them. Like, I eat my rotisserie chicken and I make some broth and then I chuck it in the trash and the trash people take it.
Oh my lord. Your ways are very strange to me. I would never in a century think of letting someone just take the bones without proper payment. But the tree, I think you're really going to love our central tree then, because it sounds like what we have is one of the kinds of trees that you are familiar with in the center of the bone pit. So it'll be very familiar and common. It's as big as round. You cannot even get a hug around it. It's got these strange colors, which you said are normal to you. I think you're going to love this because it will be a little bit familiar. And then you can see our bone pit as well.
What worth do the bones have for you?
You have to bring them to the pit. We're all taught this as a child. You were taught this in your thirds? You bring them. You bring all your bones to the pit. And there used to be a rhyme, but I'm not going to bring it now because I've had too much wine for my morning breakfast. But you bring your bones to the pit, and at the pit you let them sit, and you pour out the proper, and you make your rhymes fit. And then once you come back, you take what was yours, and that which was yours can go to your crops and make them grow large.
You take a step up the carvings, and as you do, Cass, your foot gives way, and you can see this earthen section of the stairs is caked in a series of teeny tiny bones, keeping the whole section together.
Do they look? So, Milo, pretend I'm a child. The bones are important. You bring them here, you say words, and offer something in addition to the bones. And then you come back later and take things from the bone pit.
And then you spread it on your crops, and the crops grow up tall. Yeah. Oh, look, you've got a window. And I'm pointing at the place where the stones showed a few of the bones between. That's good luck.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna keep climbing.
Yeah, as we should.
What are the words you say when you offer the bones?
Oh, you're really going to put me on the spot here, aren't you, Cass? Usually it's the ladies that do the words, so I don't know if I have them memorized, and my sisters are usually the ones that come. So me and my da, and I don't have any brothers. We bring the bones, and then my sisters come as well, and they say the words, and then me and my brothers come, and we bring away the gifts that we are granted.
As you climb the stairs and you're discussing who says the words, You realize that you're casting a shadow, but it is not your shadow. It is a strange thing that moves and writhes and twists around you, for I am the shadow of every shadow. And I have come to you.
Milo,
Cass,
do you have a shadow?
I don't like it, Cass. It's not right.
Don't look at it for now. We need to keep going. Don't look
I
around.
wish it wasn't so light out.
Don't invite darkness you don't need to invite.
Cass, it's like telling me not to think about an elephant. You've told me not to look at my shadow, and I can't think of anything but looking at my it's my shadow.
Tell me about
Let's
your
go.
family. Tell me about your sisters.
Let's walk quickly. Maybe if we're tired. And I've got 2 sisters. They're terrible. They're always talking about terrible things. Responsibilities and chores and what's happening. And I keep telling them I'm going to leave the farm and I won't have to. It's got so many extra bits, the shed. And yeah, my mom and dad, they do their best and we have a great life and everything's wonderful.
And I'm going to take off
let's
the chunky knitted hat that I have, and I'm going to put it on his head and pull it down. So it almost is blinders on the sides of his eyes. And so all he can see is in front. And I was like, just look at me. Just climb. We can do this.
Yes.
And as you climb, every footfall now is dominated by the crunch, crunch, crunch of the bones exuding from the surface of the ground. And even as you wrap yourself in and put the blinders on, the sound of the crunching bones under your feet is inescapable.
Ooh, I'm gonna no butt that.
Oh! Give me that.
I'm gonna no butt that. Ooh. Your foot, like as you keep heading up the hill, your footfalls do hit something a little springy, but you realize it's actually the roots of an enormous tree that have grown around the bones, almost as if they're cradling them gently. And anywhere you step, you are just stepping on the roots of the tree that are just kind of supporting you as you walk up. And you can see kind of around the edge, little bits and bobs and knickknacks have sort of been moved to the tree, but it seems like the meat and the flesh of the things that died here were taken by the tree.
I'm going to start singing the river song as we go. As we continue to climb and climb and climb until we reach what I think is the end, and I'm going to turn to Milo.
No, but
here we go.
You realize the further you go up these stairs and the closer you get to the tree, you cannot remember the words to the song. It's like they're slipping slippery through your brain and leaving and returning and leaving and returning, leaving only a shadowy imprint of what they might have been.
They crash like a waterfall out of sight into nothingness.
And my voice is going to waver. And I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to sing the songs I've heard in my head ever since I was little. And I'm just going to try and keep going. Because this kid reminds me of someone I lost. And I need to get him home.
I'm going to grab your arm. Cass, I love your voice. It sounds so pretty when you sing. You're almost here. You're going to see Uncle Mother, and it's going to be wonderful. I think you're going to really love her.
You see something, Cass, as you lead Milo finally to the end of this climbing escalation of experience. There's a clearing. There's a tree. You've seen this type of tree before. There's nothing really unique about it. It's a giant red oak of some sort. They have those in the city, usually in those centralized areas of the city where they have dedications to green space. Or you enjoy going out into the woods to speak to the trees and to the bark and to the leaves. You've seen this type of tree before, but it's not the tree itself that's alarming as much as it is what adorns this tree. Hanging from branches all over, suspended by nooses, are silhouettes, black silhouettes of people everywhere, hanging all over this tree, and they just very gently sway in a breeze that doesn't exist. Then you hear a voice. You should mind yourself here, girl. The shadows take precedence at this place.
And around the waist of one of those bodies hanging from the tree, you can see a heavily faded but still recognizable ball of orange yarn.
We're not the terrors as a note.
No.
You fool me.
Fooled myself too. Oh wow.
The tiny bones emerging from the ground
Wait.
all around you. Oh.
You have a no button.
Oh.
I'm
You're-
nobodying
I'm not even
Carl.
done and you're no button.
That's
All right.
fair.
No, I'm
Tiny
nobodying
bones,
Carl.
fuck your tiny bones. All right.
Ooh.
So what I see
I'll take it.
around the person's waist is actually an old tablet
Oh,
woven
wait,
book.
sorry. Hang on. You can't contradict me.
I
Only
was
they can.
contradicting Carl.
Carl.
You weren't paying attention to me.
Oh, so which bit? Which bit are you axing out?
The fact that she was
yarn?
hanging in a tree.
She was getting to that.
Got it.
It's
There's
not
no yarn.
There's no
It's
yarn.
not yarn. It's tablet woven belt. That is very familiar to me from the person that I lost.
Oh, you're just making it worse on yourself. This is good. Welcome to Team Terror.
And
Oh my god.
when the tree speaks, it sounds like the person that's been singing the song that I've heard in my head for a very long time.
Oh, Gas Lady, listen to her. Uncle Mother likes you. Oh, I love that. I love the voice.
You hear her too?
Yeah, I can hear her clear now that I can see her. Look at all her visitors, too. I think there's at least 3, 4. Maybe more hanging that weren't here last time.
When you say visitors,
You see them?
Milo,
Yeah.
what happened to your mother?
And you see my eyes look directly off to one specific area of Uncle Mother. And then I stop and I look back at you and it's, well, she moved on as sometimes we have to make sure that we can get another year out, right? It's normal, it's natural, that's how it works. So, plus, like I told you, you're listening, right? I have 2 sisters and no brothers, so it's our duty to balance.
Then why are they all women?
Well, now they won't be, right? And then I look up. Wait, all the visitors on Uncle Mother are women. And just to check in, that's what you're saying, right? Okay, so I'm adjusting that in my head. I've never... They are all women. Cass Lady, they're all women. See, my dad said it was for balance. It's always for balance, but... Doesn't make sense, does it? If it was balance, there'd be boys and girls, men and women.
There shouldn't be any children, Milo. You shouldn't be sacrificing children.
Oh, Cass Lady, we grew up quick here in the forest. We hardly get a few summers before we are called to do grown-up things. I haven't played as a child for 10, 11 years, at least. That's just how it is here. Your city sounds like it might be nicer for that than here.
Do the visitors get a choice?
Did that branch just move?
Cass and Milo, you stand at the top of the hill, the final step finally taken. And across the bone pit, you can see Uncle Mother extending far beyond the tops of the other trees, dominating it, but only across the bone pit. And as you stare down into it, it seems like an endless, bottomless pit, swirled and lined with bones disappearing into the darkness below. You swear Uncle Mother is watching you.
What happened? What changed?
It all started.
And...
Go, sorry, Cass Lady. Go, please.
The shadows shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here, but the shadows shouldn't be here. It's wrong.
And as you say that, the shadow, the strange, disturbing shadow attached to both of you, leaps ahead of you, crossing the bones. It's dancing, but this horrible, twisted dance that your minds can barely comprehend. It's not moving naturally. It's not moving the way any body should be able to move, as it twists through the bones, almost caressing them with its hands as it drags them across the bones as it runs toward Uncle Mother, for you have brought it home.
Can I... Milo, what did we do? And then I'm going to grab his shoulders, say, stay here, and try and run around the edge of the pit to intercept the shadow before it gets to the tree.
You try, or what happens? Tell us what happens.
I'm running, and bones are falling in. And I am trying desperately not to look at the visitor that I recognize. And I make it to the tree, and I get in between the shadow and the tree, and I don't know what to do.
You trip, and you fall into the bone pit.
Oof.
I grab the edge.
I run down.
The bones tickle you, Cass, as they shake on the walls.
I go down on my belly like a snake. I scurry the last foot or two towards, and I grab for Cass's forearms that are still there, and I pull, and then with all of my rippling muscles and my mighty thews, I pull. And Cass, you gain about a foot out of the hole.
Can I yes and that?
You don't need change for it. As long as it as long as it doesn't change the nature of what is true, you can keep building. Absolutely.
Just keep building on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. All right. So Milo, as you're reaching down and like grabbing Cass's hands, you're lifting and pulling with all your might, and you have a realization. Some of the shadows are still stuck to you, and you realize that they're your shadow, they're your mother's shadow, your father's shadow, your grandfather, your grandmother, everyone that you can possibly think of. And Cass, you almost see a shadow that you recognize. and it's the owner of the satchel. And Nate, for a very brief, or no, sorry, for Milo, for a very brief moment, your inside view of yourself becomes reality.
Oh.
And you don't physically change, but you just almost one-handed lift Cass out and put her back on the plank.
As
Brother.
you drag Cass out of the pit, you realize Uncle Mother's shadow, which you had never seen before because Uncle Mother has no shadow, suddenly begins to extend out towards you as if it wants to swallow you and every shadow that has now attached itself to you. And it creeps and climbs, and you know that this shadow is whatever was sacrificed here long ago, the shadow that lives within the shadows, and all it wishes, now that you've brought it home, is to devour your essence, your shadow, yourself, your everything.
Brother, what are you doing? We have a treaty with the shadows here, one that we've upheld for generations. Why are you intervening?
We have a responsibility that we have forgotten. The shadows are meant to be a part of us, not a horror to pull the travelers down.
The bone pit shakes in disapproval.
Even now they protest.
Brother, when these travelers leave, if they leave, it will be us that has to contend with the shadows. Is that what you want?
Perhaps for the first time in as long as I can remember, it is.
The root system of the great tree immediately reorganizes itself. It's difficult to understand what it's doing or what it's reacting to or what it's behaving to, but to the travelers, it feels supportive.
And the shadow that's many shadows coalesces a little into a little girl. The first sacrifice after a bad winter and a bad summer and a bad winter and a bad summer, instead of just animals that were already slaughtered for meat, they threw in a child and started it all.
Fade out.
For absolutely sure.
Yeah.
100%.
For sure.
All right.
I like to end the
Yes.
party.
There we go. There we go. All right. So here is the canonical check-in. How's everybody doing?
On fire.
Good.
You know that short story, The Lottery, they make you read as
Yes.
a kid?
I
Yes.
literally
It's-
texted Graham that.
It's entirely
Yeah.
possible I got a DM a little while ago.
Yes.
Rita's totally on top of it. Yeah. All right. So we got a little time left. I think we could probably squeeze in, particularly a rapid fire climax. How's everybody feeling? And have enough time for a bit of a debrief afterwards.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
are we looking at? 5:20 right now. We got 40 minutes. You want to do 20 and 20?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I
like
like
it.
it quick and dirty.
Well, listen, the terrors are up
Hey.
next, right?
All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to toot my own horrific reality smashing horn, but it does sound like we're in for a terror chapter. Is that what
Sounds
everybody's
like
on
we're in
board
for a terror chapter,
Yep.
baby.
All right. So, if you would, oh great rolls. The terrors, we start off with 3.
Good for
change
y'all.
Each. The Arcadians still have had 2. You are the world. You are the things. You are the consistency that perhaps holds us all together. And poor travelers, poor little travelers, you have 1 each. 1 change. Like the other chapters, this is the first time, if indeed we are a physical entity, the terrors can manifest physically and describe themselves. And then we also are responsible for the opening, which is the music, the opening narration, which is where are we and what's happening, and finally, and what is very important because it drives both like a scalpel more than a cudgel, something that is true, it has to be true, so there's a lot of kind of power with it dominating how we're going to go, the sort of fatalism thing about where we're all reaching in terms of the story, a question that has to be answered by the nature of play. Rina, this is your first time as a terror. What part, again, I think I'm feeling a little back and forth. During the opening narration, I would love to kind of like throw it back and forth, you a little bit, you a little bit. Do you have an idea about the music or anything else? Where again, gut feelings.
I do have an idea for the music.
I would love it. I would love for you to hit us with it.
Okay, so we hear cellos, two of them, in the background almost. It's almost like you can't hear them at first, and then they get louder and louder. And they're playing melodies that shouldn't work together. They hurt your ears in that most beautiful way when music shouldn't work, but it just does. But it's haunting. It strikes at your spirit as you start to hear what sounds like rain falling. This soft, gentle spring rain at first, that as the cellos get louder and louder, this rain gets stronger and stronger until it is a driving torrent, and the cellos are moving faster and faster to try to keep up with the rain, and they're battling each other and they're flowing together, and all you hear is the strings of the cellos with the pounding of the rain against the wood of the instruments, louder and louder, and then dropping away almost as suddenly as it began.
We were there when it all began, when it was first planted and it grew. This forest was young, but we were not. We came into ourselves when you were clawing children. And you want it back? We will never let go of what has always been ours. You build generation after generation, bone after bone, as the shadow gets longer and longer. Well, this is the midnight of our temptation. You have come to the point of it all. Do you remember how it began?
I remember the first blade of grass ever to cast an image in the sun. I remember the sun itself giving birth to us on this strange, twisted rock. I remember the rock before the sun. I remember the beginning of everything. We remember the beginning of everything. We remember the plains that we loped across, chasing each other, chasing ourselves, chasing the little puny things that had the temerity to call themselves life. Life. We follow them, we chase them, and they think that we are the reflection, that we are just pieces, as if they could exist without us. We are the foundation. We are what is real. They are but a reflection of who we truly are. And perhaps it's time that they remembered where they came from and where they will go.
Cass and Milo, you stand at the back of a crowd. Your family, your village, they dominate over you because you are small. You are children. You hold the hand out of your mother who comforts you below. Everyone is gathered here. You are at the top of a hill, clear, no trees, perfect, far away from the village. Your clothes, far stranger, older, more simpler than anything you have ever seen in your lives. And with that crowd at the center, you can see two shapes. One dressed in white, white as bone, the other black as shadow. And at the center is a sprout, a tree, 1 year old, planted by your village. And so you have come. Cass, Milo, this was you. This is you. It is both. It is neither. You are yourself. You are a child. You are old. You are young. But the sprout is withered. Its leaves crumble at the ends. This sprout was the salvation of your people, but it, even in its youth, is dying. Cass, Milo, do you have a question in mind, Rina? Do you know what you want to ask? I have an idea, unless you have something on the tip of your tongue.
My idea was, why this tree?
I want something with teeth. I want something that's going to make them decide something.
What's yours?
Nate? Cass? Milo? How did you betray your mother?
Ooh.
Step back and the vision shifts. And we're back at the edge of the bone pit. And the tree is there. And the shadow's there. And everything is waiting.
Nope. You stay there. The vision is real.
You tried.
There is no bone pit.
I
The
tried.
bone pit will not exist for generations and generations of your family piled in the ground. This is your now, and you will not escape it.
Oof.
I kneel down and I listen. Harder than I have ever had to listen on those days when the music in my head is screeching and screaming, and the people in front of me are asking inane questions about toner and paper orders and emails and shit I do not give a fuck about. And I listen and I hear the river. I hear the river the way it used to be, the way it was underground, deep and powerful and loud and crashing before everything made it smaller and smaller and smaller until in my forest I don't even ever see it. And I listen and I grab Milo's hand and I sing. I sing its song and I try to call it up and I get Milo to sing. And I look at the people around me, real, not real. I don't care at this point. I sing until they start to sing with me, until every single person standing around that tree is singing the water to the surface.
Hell yeah.
Moving through the group of real or imagined, does that really matter at this point? People on opposite sides, like two predators caught in some type of coordinated strike, or maybe two lovers that are just separated by time and space. Two figures move on either of them. As they move, one carries the essence of rain, the other one carries the essence of dueling cellos. And as you listen to the sound of this underground river, these two entities just simply move in and out of the group gathered who are singing. You can't anticipate, you're not sure whether these are malevolent or whether they're here to help you, or whether they're simply observing. But they are here.
I can feel the moment when my mom, who's holding onto my hand, she gets into this song that's picking up and everyone is gathering and singing together, and her hand loosens a little bit. And I take my opportunity and I slip my hand out and I run back and I hear her. You can't leave me. You can't leave me unbalanced, but I have to go find this noise, this compulsion that I'm having to go figure out what these two people are, because I know one of them has everything I need to be the proper caretaker, father, man of the house that me as this young child is just so desperate. I'm going to be a protector. And I can hear my mom, and she's yelling, and then she's yelling. It sounds scared now, but I put that out of my head because I know if I can just figure out what those two people that are carrying something through, and the song is swelling, and I'm filled with this energy, and I slip between the crowd and around and between legs and make my way down towards the mother tree, which we planted last year, and it's not doing well, but surely this is enough to bring it back.
The shadow of what will become Uncle Mother is not the shadow of a writhing, dead, or dying plant that you see before you. It is the shadow of what it will become.
Oof.
As it stretches out towards you, calling for you, searching for you, longing to wrap you up in its embrace. Uncle Mother will always be there for you. Uncle Mother is for you. You've always known this. Your entire culture is built around this. How can you not want to be embraced by Uncle Mother? As it calls, you hear your name, Milo. Come. Come. As the shadow reaches out for you, long, twisting, shadowy branches, the leaves rustling in that non-existent wind. Like
And I
it's
bump
looking
into
for a hand. It's looking for your hand.
I see that, and I angle towards it and bump into Cass. Cass, do you hear it? Here, leave. And I'm pulling Cass's hand away from our brother, and I'm trying to drag her towards this shadow hand. And I think we could save everyone. We could save the whole village. All we have to do is, and I'm trying to pull her away from our brother.
Milo, what are you saying? The shadow is not the tree. The shadow is the trick. The tree is dying and we have to save it. Can you hear the water?
I can hear
the
Mother's
music?
voice. The Uncle Mother voice. I could hear it. And I'm reaching towards the shadow hand.
I grab your hand and I yank it away and I say, that's not the tree. That's not the tree. That's the other thing. We have to find the water. We have to bring the water up.
You squeeze his hand too tightly, and his bones shatter in your touch.
Oh.
I scream.
They're brittle, old, like an old man. And her name echoes further and further into your ears. And you remember, at the end of your life, a strong patriarch far past your potential, sitting there in your last chair, in your last refuge, as your daughter comes to you, wrapped bundle in hand, and hands you a child. And you take that child in your arms, and you ask her name. Cass, your daughter says. And the shadows of the fire extend towards that little bundle, and you protect it with your life. But your hand, an injury from long ago, shakes with the pain.
This is what is. This is what has been. This is what always will be. You know this. I know this. I who have always been here. I who always was. I who always will be. You cannot escape your shadow. The shadow is you. Or are you me?
I'm gonna no butt that.
Oh, but it was so good.
Yes.
At what point do you want to cut it off?
So
right?
I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna honor it up to this is what is, this is what has been, but this is not always what has to be.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Take your little bit, Rina. Remember.
It's like mine.
Yeah.
And
More fuel for the fire.
So in the other place where the brother and the sister can talk freely about the shadows and the forest, they'll be kind of looking up at Uncle Mother and realizing just how far back and forward and sideways those branches and the shadows of those branches extend. And the one entity will turn to the other and say, "Sister, if we end this now, we may end it then."
I look at my brother. I am the rain. He is the dueling cellos. We are this place. We had an agreement. They're older than us. They're stronger. They were here before us.
We do have one advantage. A shadow can only fade. We can grow.
And I nod. And Cass gets a momentary moment where she's sitting at her desk. Her neighboring kiosk person is playing a song that is absolutely terrible. She's tapping away on her keyboards, and the more she presses down on the keys, every single indentation on the keys splurts up with water to the point where water begins running over her keyboard, running over her lap, running down her legs. There's another simultaneous experience, vision, memory. You're not sure where Milo is sitting with one of his sisters. She's sitting in his lap. They're wrapped around a blanket that their mother made, and he's singing to her, and she is smiling. And as she looks up to him, he realizes that the blanket is wet. It is just growing in saturation, but it feels comforting. It feels empowering. It feels secure. And in this moment in space and time that's not existing in space and time, because are we here? Are we not? It doesn't matter. The ground beneath Cass's boots, the ground beneath Milo's shoes feels softer. They sink as water begins to slowly move from beneath the earth. The river has responded to their calls.
Milo,
And we have chosen.
it's working. Listen to me. This is why the leaves are wrong for me. This is why I thought yours were wrong. The purples, the shadows in the leaves, they chased them away. The river washed them clean. It's why the trees are different where I am. We can do this. We've done this already.
And we're climbing upstairs away from this Uncle Mother tree, and the bones are grabbing us and trying to hold us back. But as children, I turn towards you. I say, Cass, I understand. And I drop to my knees and I start digging. And I'm digging out child handfuls of dirt at first. And then I'm digging out massive clods. And Cass, help me. Help me. This is working. And crystal clear water starts to bubble up. And the crowd, the village, the old and the new, they're standing around, and they are shadowy and almost transparent as they're fading away, as the sun comes down and the clouds are breaking, and this noontime sun starts to burn down from directly above us, and the shadows shrink and disappear as there's nothing to cast them, as we're pulling out clods of earth and dirt from this town square, and we're desperately trying to get enough to create a little bit of a trickle off to that 1-year-old sapling Uncle Mother.
And I'm down in the dirt with you, and we're pulling. And like you, at first it's a child's hands, and then it's an older woman's hands, and then it's almost as if roots themselves start ripping the earth apart to bring the water to the up faster. And you watch the water trickle, and you watch it make it to the tree. And I see and I hear the song of the tree strengthen. I hear the music of the tree rise.
Shall we
Yes.
fade on that image?
Bam!
Sure.
That's a bold fade. Woo!
Hell yeah.
That's a bold fade.
I like a bit of ambiguity.
Yeah.
Woo!
Absolutely.
That's a bold fade, point wife. Woo! Or spouse, sorry. Woo!
Ooh. Y'all are sexy as fuck. I just that.
Yeah, that got a little intense.
Holy
shit.
Okay. Okay.
That's why
wow.
a debrief is vital, y'all. Like any game, regardless, I love a debrief. It's vital for emotional health, but also just like stepping away from our roles as players and as people, because we are people sharing a space. And so this is something I'm more than happy to model. So I love, the shout out moments just as a way to get the ball rolling. As you think about this space that we shared, what is sticking out for you? What's going on?
Oh, I have a question for you. Can we roll that to the talkback?
Is this not the talk back?
No, this is still the game.
Oh God! Well, that's it. That's the game. I think we're over.
Okay. Okay. If we're closing
We
the
got
game
outro.
there, we're gonna do outros. I'll hand that back over to the host. We'll do outros, and then we'll end, and we'll come right back for the talk back, and we should start with that damn question.
Great. I forgot Carl has such elaborate notes. I really should.
Oh, shade from
the
Cicada Daddy.
From Cicada Daddy. Carl, this is going to be a weird one for you as I weirdly tee up your hosting duties live on stream. I don't know how we're going to...
What are those fingers? Bridgett, what was that?
Sorry. Somebody roll a change on it. Roll it back. You can't do the giveaway right now, babe. I'm going to have to do the giveaway when we actually stream it. So you can do everything but skip the giveaway portion, and I'll do that live.
Will do.
No, just play it off like, oh my God, I can't believe who won. That's so exciting.
Ooh, yeah!
Hey! Stream
Stream orgy.
Y'all are wild. Okay, let's land this baby.
Yep, let's do the damn things, baby.
And that, Friends of the Symphony, is where our show is going to end for tonight. Thank you so much for everyone who joined in or is currently watching the replay. You are indeed the best part of waking up, and we sincerely appreciate you. Again, if you enjoyed this content, please consider helping the Symphony make more by backing us on Patreon at patreon.com/Symphony Entertainment. Let's say goodnight again to our symphonic cast. We hope you've enjoyed the Symphony, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Bam! I'm okay with ending there with no outros. Y'all good to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
I am ending this stream.